If you ask why China is called China, someone will probably point to a porcelain cup. China made porcelain, porcelain became the China, and that sounds like the end of the story. Except it runs backwards. The country name appears in English in the 1550s. China meaning porcelain appears about a century later, shortened from phrases such as Chinaware, ware from China. The plate was named after the place, not the place after the plate. So where did the place name come from? The honest answer is more interesting than a neat myth. Historians have a leading theory, a remarkable trail of evidence, and one stubborn question mark. The best-known theory connects China to Qin, spelled Qin in modern Pinyin, the Western state that eventually united much of what we now call China. The sounds are not identical to modern ears, but modern Mandarin is not how Qin was pronounced more than 2,000 years ago. Related forms appear across languages used along ancient trade routes, Sina in Sanskrit, Qin in Persian, and Sina in Greek and Latin traditions. That trail makes the Qin connection plausible. But plausible is not the same as proven. The Oxford English Dictionary has historically called the ultimate origin unknown, and scholars have proposed alternatives. So this is not a story about one magical moment when somebody invented the word China. It is a story about how outsiders heard, adapted, and carried a name across continents. Qin itself had already existed for centuries before it became an empire. One early figure in its traditional history was Fizi, a skilled horse breeder who lived around the 9th century BC. The records of the Grand Historian says that King Xiao of Zhou was impressed by Fizi's success with royal horses and granted him a small fief at Qin. That is the documented connection: horses, royal favor, and a place already called Qin. There is no reliable source saying Fizi named Qin after a special grass. It is a wonderfully shareable tale, but history does not become stronger because a detail is cute. What we can say is that this tiny western domain became the seed of something enormous. Over roughly 6 centuries, Qin grew from a frontier state into the most formidable power of the Warring States era. Its rulers built an unusually centralized administration, rewarded military achievement, expanded agriculture, and conquered their rivals one by one. In 221 BC, the king of Qin, Yinggang, defeated the last competing state and declared himself Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of Qin. His government standardized systems of writing, weights, measures, and currency across the new empire. It connected and extended older defensive walls, and it imposed one political order with extraordinary force. Then came the twist: the Qin dynasty collapsed in 206 BC. The imperial dynasty lasted only about 15 years. The political structure changed, but the name had already become impossible to ignore. Imagine merchants moving silk, lacquer, spices, horses, and stories through a chain of markets. Nobody needed to travel the whole distance. A word could pass from one trader to the next, changing slightly at every handoff. A form such as Sina was used in Indic traditions. Iranian and Central Asian languages used forms such as Chin or Sin. Greek and Roman writers encountered names such as Sina or Thena. Much later, Portuguese travelers helped carry China into the languages of Western Europe, and English printed the name in the 16th century. The route was not a straight line, and scholars still debate its earliest steps. But the pattern is clear: the name by which much of the world knows China was shaped outside China, through centuries of contact. Europe also had another name: Cathay. It came from the Khitans, a people who ruled a powerful state in northern China centuries after Qin. Marco Polo used a form of Cathay for northern China, while other geographic traditions used forms related to China farther south. European readers inherited both names and did not immediately understand that they pointed toward parts of the same vast realm. Christopher Columbus owned and annotated a copy of Marco Polo's travels and sailed west hoping to reach the wealthy lands described there. Over time, reports from travelers and missionaries made the geography clearer, and China became the dominant name in Western European languages. Cathay survived in poetry, company names, and on old maps. It survives even more clearly in languages such as Russian, where China is still Kitay, a linguistic fossil of the Khitan name. But China and Cathay are both names that arrived from outside. What does the country call itself? Zhongguo, written with the characters Zhong, meaning central, and Gui, meaning state or realm. One of the earliest known written appearances of the term is inside a Western Jew bronze vessel called the He-Sun. Its inscription dates to the early 1st millennium BC. In that context, Zhongguo did not mean the borders of the modern nation. It referred to a central place and political center associated with the Jew realm. Across later centuries, the term widened and changed: central states, central plains, a cultural and political world, and eventually a common name for the country. The word stayed, its scale expanded. So why is China called China? Porcelain did not name the country. The international name most likely traveled through a family of older forms, and the Qin state or dynasty is a strong candidate for their source, but the earliest link is still debated. Cathay preserves the memory of the Khitans. Zhongguo tells a different story from inside the civilization itself. That is the real lesson: country names are not labels placed neatly on a map. They are fossils of trade, politics, translation, misunderstanding, and memory. The next time someone says China was named after plates, or after a horse's favorite grass, you can give them the better answer: the evidence is messier, and the journey is far more interesting. Subscribe for more hidden histories behind the names we use every day.